Today is Monday, November 18th, 2019. I'm Casey Moulton. Things are getting tense in Hong Kong. We've got the details.
And I'm Nicole Thorne. What's the deal with getting an American to the space station? The news is next.
In Washington, the impeachment public hearings continue. But here at school, you may be wondering what it means to be impeached. Does it mean the president is automatically removed from office? Does he simply get a political black eye? We spoke with history teacher Mr. Haggard to get the straight scoop. Roll tape. Teenagers don't know a whole lot about current events.
That is true.
And it is incredibly important that we do know a lot about current events.
That is true also.
So, impeachment. It's a word that's being thrown around a lot, and it's something that not a lot of us know a whole lot about. So where in the Constitution does it say that a president can be impeached?
The Constitution is very specific about impeachment. In Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5 of the Constitution, it sets out the process where it says that the House of Representatives will have the sole power of impeachment. It also gives the terms that the president can be impeached for. He can be impeached for treason, for bribery, or for high crimes and misdemeanors. Problem is that most people don't go to Article 1, Section 3, which gives the actual trial itself. Impeachment is not being kicked out of office. Impeachment means that this person is being charged with a crime.
So what's the formal process of impeachment?
The interpretation of Article 1, Section 2, Clause 5 is that the House has the sole power of impeachment with a majority vote. Once a person is impeached, he is bound over for trial in the Senate. So now the Senate acts as a jury in an impeachment case, and they can only convict with a 2/3 vote within the Senate. So there's a lot of people that are around going, oh my gosh, Mr. Trump's going to be impeached. Well, yeah, if he's impeached, it doesn't mean he's run out of office. Now he's bound over for trial in the Senate.
Okay, and so if the Senate does indict, what's the next step?
The House would do the indictment.
The House does the indicting if the Senate charges.
If the Senate finds the president guilty, then the president is removed from office. This is really kind of a weird deal where we're at right now, is because the Democrats control the House, the Republicans control the Senate, so it's not likely that the Republicans are going to vote out a Republican president.
How long does the impeachment process take?
Well, with Clinton in 1998, that was about a 4-month, 5-month deal.
So essentially, we're just going to have to wait and see where it goes from here.
Essentially.
Well, that's impeachment.
Yes.
Very short 101. So.
Got it.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Haggard.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mr. Haggard. If you have any questions about what's going on in Washington, simply ask your history teacher.
It's that time of the week again, time to get your fill for the week. Today, Mr. Diplock has a lot on his mind, so be sure to pay attention. Roll tape. Welcome to this episode of Fill of the Week. So today, we'd like to first start with some attendance stuff. Mr. Diplock, how do we make up time for time?
How do we make up time for time? I've been talking about it for the last several weeks, and we're getting to crunch time, right? We are November, what's the date today?
13th.
13th. So the best way to do that is, first and foremost, any of the absences that are marked A need to be excused by a parent. So the student, you need to contact your family, let your mom or dad know, and have them call the school, call the attendance secretary, let them know that you're going to excuse those, and then student responsibility is going to Mr. Gant, our attendance dean, or myself, and then finding out exactly how they can do that. And how they can do that, Tuesdays and Thursdays after school, 2:45 to 3:45, with Mrs. Ankerman in the Delta room. You can take care of it there, or Saturday mornings, 9 to 11, we have Saturday school. And again, the equivalency of you making up your hours, and I think more than the biggest thing is talking to us, because it is true. You're going to lose that credit. It will not change back unless the student takes care of that.
So that's about all we have for attendance.
Okay.
School safety.
Yeah, school safety.
An incredibly important issue in today's political climate.
Yeah.
So what's the most important thing that we as students can do?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and it's not just at this school, it's all over the country. If you ever have a question or you're uncertain about something, right, you have a feeling somebody said something that didn't feel comfortable, you can't go wrong by talking to somebody, right? That's how things are prevented That's how they're prevented. When somebody talks to another person or an adult on campus, and then we look into it, and if it checks out that it's nothing, great, right? If it checks out that it's something else, then we get help and we support and do whatever we need to do. That's a major thing. It's just like seeing somebody on campus that you don't know or recognize, adult-wise or anything. Again, just talking, right? Communicating. And that's probably the most helpful thing.
So where are we falling short?
Yeah. In terms of falling short, I think we actually do a pretty good job. Over the years, we've had situations where kids have said, hey, I saw somebody trying to get in the back door, and it was a teacher that they just didn't happen to know. And it was okay. We checked it out. It worked out. But at least in the mindset is that we're taking it seriously enough to know that we don't know that person. Or again, as we continue to shift here at our school with having our identification on us, that's another big thing. Is I think we fall short, and then right now we need to get better with this, right? And we realize as staff and as administration that it's a big change and getting used to. And again, we're not asking for anything that in my own mind is not very difficult, right? It's to have this with your lanyard or clipped onto you or just somewhere visible. So again, as we talk about falling short, I don't know if we're falling short. I just think that there's always ways to, right, improve and just continue to make this a safe environment.
Will anything be changing over the next semester?
Probably not necessarily the next semester. I think as we move on, and you'll see, and we're always talking to other schools around the country and how they do things in terms of kids being able to buzz themselves in or having, that's the only way you can get in certain doors is if you have your ID card in. Again, to improve that we know the people that in here should be in here, right? Wearing badges. So I think you'll continue to see things, especially as technology continues to improve and makes it easier on school systems and money. We have improved our camera system. I think most kids know this is a relatively new school, right? Even though it might seem old at 14, it's not. We have an excellent camera system that we're upgrading, and there's cameras everywhere on campus. And again, those cameras aren't meant to say that we are trying to get people in trouble. They are to keep people safe, right? Again, to know who's where they should be, and then if things do happen, we have it right there on video.
Is there anything else school safety-wise that we need to be aware of?
I don't think so at this time. Like I said, I harp on it, and for years I've gone into freshman classes and they've asked that question, like, how do we prevent things? And preventing sometimes, right, you always see that there's, when those things do happen, and they've happened, right, you're growing up in the generation of the last 20 years where we've had some major incidents in this country. If somebody would have said something, and almost to every one of those, the studies show and all of the experiences that people knew and didn't say anything. And I just hate for us to ever regret not looking into something because we just, I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to be that person. Hopefully you want to be that person, and it prevents anything ever happening. So that's what we got to continue to strive for, is we just communicate.
So we as students need to speak out and be unafraid to point out when things don't seem quite right.
And we share that with staff. If you feel like something's not right, right? The old saying of, my gut, listen to your gut feeling, because most of the time it's right. And if it's not right, you haven't done any harm to anybody, right? If everything's okay, then it's okay.
Thank you for
being
interviewed again.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. So we'll be back again next week with a special guest.
Ooh,
so
awesome.
stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.
70% have seen bullying in school. 20% of high school students experience bullying. Words hurt. Verbal bullying, physical bullying, and cyberbullying will not be tolerated. If you see someone being bullied, report it to a teacher or staff member.
Today's weather is brought to you by Dr. Kim Keller. If you want to have teeth when you're my age, then make sure you go see Dr. Keller. Alrighty. Whoa, it's a Willard in your face. Well, by the way, you see that? You see this right here? I got this tie from Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson is the only other president to be impeached besides Bill Clinton. That's some good company, I guess. By the way, temperature 58, 39. Tomorrow, high 55, low almost freezing. Back to you, Moulton. It's your show today. Talk some more.
Police have trapped around 800 students inside a Hong Kong university and have threatened to use live bullets on those who fail to surrender. The anti-government protesters at the sprawling Polytechnic University remained holed up, fearful of police with water cannons, ammunition, and armored vehicles. Officers used tear gas last night in what has become one of the most prolonged, intense confrontations between police and demonstrators in more than 5 months of political unrest. And police threatened to fire rioters with live bullets today. The terrified students countered the volleys of tear gas and rubber bullets with gasoline bombs, slingshots, and bows and arrows.
Auditors mince no words in their assessment of NASA's commercial crew providers. Overdue, over budget, and overpaid. This is not supposed to have happened. SpaceX and Boeing should have been flying crew to the International Space Station by now, thanks to fixed-price contracts. Because of the lack of an American launch system, NASA has had to admit that the U.S. presence on the multi-billion-dollar orbiting lab is likely to drop to a single crew member in 2020.
How are you going to get out of this one? Gotta zoom out to a two-shot. They have to.
They
can do it on air. Watch.
The solitary astronaut's task will be limited by keeping the U.S. segment alive and functioning. Boeing has yet to even make an unmanned
Nicely done. Keep riding.
flight to the space station, while SpaceX is on track to send a manned capsule early next year.
Give me 5.
The SAT word of the day is abide, which means to remain, continue, stay, endure. You could use it like this.
You can't abide Willard, can you?
Thorne
No,
has
nobody can abide
continued
me.
to abide Willard. That's the news. Thanks for watching, and remember, live the Wildcat way.